All right, we will begin. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. I'm very excited to have Darrius Peace presenting tonight, one of our home hair care webinars. Tonight's subject is secrets to growing longer hair. And the reason I'm excited about Darrius Peace being our presenter tonight is because he has done so much for the Association of Natural Hair Care Professionals, helping to educate other professional stylists. He has the Hayah Beauty Style Network, which has stylists all over the country, where you can go to hayahbeauty.com and find other stylists that are trained in the Hayah Beauty style methods. And again, he has done so much for our organization as far as doing our professional webinars and being a major part of our annual conference as well. So Darrius, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I look forward to learning some secrets myself. So thank you.
Well, you are very welcome. Thank you so much for always having me. It's I love the Association of Natural Hair Care Professionals. It's such a valuable resource, not just for the professional, but even for the layperson who's not a hairstylist or someone who is an authority in the hair care industry. So I'm glad to be on tonight so that we can talk about what a lot of people are always curious about. Everywhere I go, it does not matter. I could be at a wedding, I could be at a funeral. It doesn't matter. Somebody's going to come to me asking me, family reunion, it doesn't matter. But the worst ones are the funeral cases where they'll be crying, oh my gosh, I can't believe baby gone, but then pull me over to the side. Before you leave, can you talk to me about my hair? And it's like, wait a minute, baby is dead and we talking about your hair. So, but you know, I know it doesn't matter where I am. That's the question that I always get, someone wanting to talk about their hair. And that question that they always have, or the biggest inquiry, is what can I do to have longer or fuller hair? And there's so many different factors that contribute to it. But I know that with all of my years of experience, all of my expertise, all of my experimenting with different hair conditions, with different hair textures, with different hair lengths, all of these years have really equipped me to be able to answer anybody who comes to me with that question. It doesn't matter what your condition is. I can answer what you need to do to have longer, fuller hair. And you know, there are factors that we all have to consider when we're thinking about, you know, each of our individual heads of hair. Because I always tell people our hair are our unique heads of hair are as different and unique and custom as our fingerprints. And so that's one of the things that we have to recognize. And so we were talking about this before we started the thing, but I love working in acronyms. Acronyms are very easy for people to remember information, to retain information, and to apply information. So the acronym that we're going to use for today's presentation is growth, because that's the topic at hand. And so now, because growth is a word that if that's a word that's almost in everybody who has hair on their head vocabulary, growth. You know, so it's not going to be hard to remember, you know, when I give you all of these different steps, you know, the acronym growth. And so this growth right here is going to be, this growth acronym is going to be an excellent way for us to have some practical fundamentals for best addressing and treating our individual heads of hair. So let's move on to the first slide in the presentation, which is, the first letter is G, genetics. So I got a lot of people, like, they always ask the question, what can I do to get my hair to grow? Well, genetics plays a big role in that. If you come from a long line of people who have long, full, lush, cascading hair that runs down their back, then it is likely that you will have that, or you have the potential to have this long, unlocked, loose hair, you know, that's cascading, you know, down your back. But if you come from a long line of bald head, you know what I'm saying, ain't nobody got no hair, you know, your mama didn't have no hair, your grandmama didn't have no hair, didn't nobody have no hair, then it is less likely that you're gonna have this long flowing cascading hair. And them not having any hair is not a bad thing. That just means that my custom gifted genetics did not involve me having this long cascading hair. Somebody has to have that hair that reaches towards the sun. Somebody's got to have those petals. And so it's all about how you perceive it. But your genetics plays a large role in whether you're going to have this long, full cascading hair or whether you're going to have this ascending hair that's facing or reaching towards the sun. So genetics plays that. You know, your hair will reflect what is common in your family line. Again, you can look at your mom's side, you can look at your dad's side. If you see that there is long, short, medium, curly, straight, red, brown, it doesn't matter. That is what's going to determine the head of hair that you have on your head. So, and I said likely. I didn't say that if you come from a long line of people with long hair that you're going to have long hair. You're more likely. If you're coming from a long line of people who have short hair, you're more likely to have short hair. So that doesn't mean that it's impossible for you to have either or. It just means that you're less or more likely to have one depending on what your genetic gene pool is. So that plays a big role in it. And I know that just in my experience, you know, I come across countless women and men, you know, who deal with a lot of anxiety because their hair is not long and flowy and straight like they see many other people's are. And so for me, I'm always like, well, you know, that's your gift. Notice the word that I said earlier, your gifted genetics. You know, once you understand that this is my gift, I don't have to be so anxious about not having or not being able to achieve what is not natural for me. You know, it's not uncommon for me to hear a lot of women and men say, I'm so unhappy with my hair. I wish my hair did what Elaine's hair does, or I wish my hair was curly like such and such's hair. And, you know, it's as a hair care professional, I'm always experiencing clients who want the results that aren't compatible with their genetic makeup, with their genetic texture. And the image of the quintessential wash and go, you know, has caused a lot of people to have these loose curls or want or desire these loose curls that may not be genetically compatible with their makeup. And so I always tell people wash and go curls, because wash and go are not created equal. Your wash and go is going to be custom for whatever your genetic makeup is. That means that if your curls are tight, then your wash and go is going to showcase tight curls, and you want to make sure that you showcase an exaggeration of those tight curls, not try to manipulate your tight curls into being loose curls and compromise your texture of hair, or compromise your condition of hair, or compromise your length of hair, or compromise your genetic identity because you're trying to achieve something that is not natural for you. And so, I mean, we've done a lot of this, a lot of manipulating of our hair to make it do something that that it doesn't want to do. I know it all started out with the press and curl, you know, people burning their hair out, you know, smelling like bacon, running around here, you know, with pressed grease and all of that stuff. You know, that right there, that's an attempt to make your hair or defy your genetics. You know, I know that I went to it was with the Association of Natural Hair Care Professionals. We had a presentation in Indianapolis this past last year. And there was a scientist, Dr. Crystal Porter, there, and she used a term that just stuck with me. That term was denaturing. And she talked about how every time we do something that creates an altering of our natural texture, especially when it comes in the form of burning the hair, that means that we've denatured it. We've taken it out of its natural element. And so I know a lot of people will denature their hair, trying to get it to do something that it doesn't naturally do. And they compromise their hair because they're not following what their natural genetic makeup is. So all that to say, genetics plays a large role in that. And it's so interesting because when I do this presentation right here, a lot of people, you know, are thinking that I'm going to come and teach about this long line of products that they can use to grow their hair. But what we have to remember and always be mindful of, and I am going to mention products, but that's not what this entire presentation is about. Because normally when someone is talking to you about what to do to grow longer hair, it's usually a promotion for a certain product. It's usually, well, this product right here is going to help you grow longer hair. And we have to always be mindful and aware of the fact that our hair grows from the inside out. And so because it's growing from the inside out, putting a topical solution on our hair is not really affecting what's going on the inside and really affecting our hair growth more than anything. Topical solutions are best for preserving hair, but as far as growing hair, it starts on the inside. So it's all genetics, y'all. That's one thing. So that's the first one. I'm going to move on to the next letter in our acronym, which is R for retention. Retention is very important when it comes to growing longer hair, y'all. In most cases, we have to always realize that the hair is always growing. In most cases, not every case, but in most cases, the hair is always growing. What we have to do, especially in the case of achieving longer and fuller hair, is preserve and retain what is growing. So believe it or not, many of us will have greater success if we got our minds right about our hair. That's one of the biggest things. Like, our mindset is really compromising a lot of our hair growth and retention, because we're doing everything that we can to, again, defy our last bullet point, genetics. You know, and every time we do something to denature our hair, it affects our ability to retain our hair. Key word, denature. That's a big word for us, y'all, but that's one that we've got to keep in mind. Denature scientifically references the breaking down or the burning of protein, you know, in order to change or alter something. Well, if anybody knows anything about hair, we know that these strands right here, this is protein. This is primarily protein that we're dealing with. And so every time we burn it, whether we do it in the form of a chemical burn or whether we do it in the form of a thermal burn, it is still creating a denaturing of our hair, which will compromise our ability to optimally retain our tresses. So retention is a really big word in this case. And, you know, once we accept, you know, our purposed beauty, our individually custom purpose beauty, you know, our DNA blueprint, we would not struggle with the makeup of our hair. Once we accept it, like, you know what, so what, my hair doesn't cascade down my shoulders. It's my hair. It's my gift. You know, maybe my hair is to showcase a true crown. Because I know when we think about, you know, I know a lot of women have heard in their lives, and it really created an unnecessary bondage for a lot of them. A woman's hair is her crown and glory. And a lot of people hear it wrong. They think that it's crowned and glory. And it's like, no, no, no. A woman's hair, biblically speaking, is referenced as her crowning glory. Well, when I think about a crown, you know, most of the showcases that we see of a crown, they ascend and they stand upwards. Well, the only people on the face of the earth who are really able to showcase a crowning glory are Black people and those people who have a dominant showcase of Afro texture hair. So if you see a lot of, and it's the Afro that showcases a true crown and glory. So I say that if you are someone who does not have this cascading flowing hair, be grateful that you are truly showcasing that crown and glory that is referenced in the Bible. Because other than that, you know, all the other showcases of hair veil the face. They don't crown. There's a difference between crowning and veiling. When your hair is cascading, like, you know, my hair and like Elaine's hair is, we've chosen to lock our hair, which is put it in a different place. And we can have it to crown if we unlock.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. But, you know, and naturally unlocked, our hair would crown. But now that we've decided to lock our hair, it's now cascading and veiling, you know, down our faces, or veiling our faces. So that's the thing. And so when you change your perspective of what your hair is doing and how you see it, that will help to contribute to your ability to retain it. We have to accept it. And so, you know, I talked about the denaturing process, and that's something that we have to really recognize, how anytime we do anything like that to our hair, it really does affect its ability to be retained. Now, I know back in the day when a lot of women were doing press and curls back in the day, although they were denaturing their hair in doing it, because they used a lot of grease and pomade to preserve that style, they were still able to retain growth and length. What's happened now is a lot of people who are getting silk outs and silk presses because they are not using a solution that is slick on the hair. Your hair is less likely to when you're combing through it to be retained, because now it's so dry and it's denatured. So that means that it's not, you can call it healthy all you want to. Once you start denaturing the hair, it is no longer healthy. And that's just science. These are facts. This is not my opinion. These are facts because it's been broken down. And a lot of people can say, well, I thought that I learned in cosmetology school, or the cosmetologist told me that hair is dead. Not Black folks' hair. Because anytime, let me tell you why I say Black folks' hair ain't dead. When you put water on our hair, it comes to life, especially when it's natural. It starts to ascend in ways nobody else's hair sponges up and soaks in that moisture like our hair does. So I don't know who did the research, but Black folks' hair ain't dead. That's just, these are facts. This is not my opinion. These are facts because it comes alive. Everything that it does, it moves when it comes in contact with water. That's life. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So we got to accept it for what it is. And I know a lot of people don't want to look at it that way. Ooh, this old nappy hair. No, this is some of the only hair that is alive. And so that's a gift. You have hair that has life. We have hair that has life. And that's not to offend anybody, because again, in the same way that I mentioned that, you know, that's your genetic makeup and you should be grateful for whatever your genetic makeup is, you should. It didn't make it bad. When I talked about the crowning hair is no better than the veiling hair. You know, it's just different. But one of the differences is with that crowning hair is that it does have life. You know, and we didn't say that it was dead. It was the white scientists that said that it was. So if anybody got any problems, you go and holler at them. So
get us all in trouble.
Yeah, but I mean, but these are facts. You know, these are the facts. This is not me coming from an opinion. This is all science, and science can back all of this up. And so, you know, and there are a lot of things that can affect, you know, retention with the hair beyond just the denaturing. A lot of times we can have issues going on with our scalp. And one of the intracultural things that Black people tend to do is self-diagnose our hair conditions. So you might be missing edges, missing your edges, or missing areas around your head in the temporal area, and you'll say, well, that's just genetic because my mama hair was thin right there, or my daddy hair was thin right there, as opposed to going and getting a dermatological assessment done on your hair so that you can really see from a scientific and a medical standpoint what is going on with your hair. So self-diagnosis is one of the key reasons that a lot of people aren't able to retain their hair. Poor habits with your hair, always opting for style options that are pulling the hair and applying a lot of traction to the hair. Self-hate plays up your mindset and your perception about your hair. If you're always like, ooh, I can't stand my hair, ooh, or you're always doing something to change or alter the natural state of your hair, that will all affect the retention of it. And that's why many of us can't achieve the longer and fuller hair that we want to, because we got to get our minds right as it pertains to our hair. It doesn't mean that our hair is any better or any worse than anybody's hair. What it means is that our hair is different and we have to treat it as such. And nobody's done a lot of research on Afro texture hair for real, to even know the kind of energy that it truly emits in the earth. I mean, I'm just sitting up here thinking, like I said, you know, when you apply water to Afro hair, it sponges up in a way that no one else's hair does. There is no way that you can call that dead hair. I am sorry, because it moves. And anything that's dead is less likely to move. So it's just something to think about and something to consider. So that's retention, which is going to move us on to the next one. I know it sounds like I'm going on rants, y'all, but I'm not, because in order for us to really achieve the longer and fuller hair that we want to, we've got to really shift our perspective and change our minds as it pertains to how we perceive our hair and how we perceive ourselves. And once you start to perceive and recognize and acknowledge and declare that your hair is a gift, that's when you'll start to have that optimal experience that you want, regardless of what state or condition that your hair is in. You'll start to have that optimal experience because you've accepted, this is my hair. And the only way that I'm going to achieve this fullness and this length that I want is by accepting it for what it is. Because one of the beautiful things about Afro hair is that those tight coils, even if you're starting to lose hair at the top, you're starting to thin or something like that, those tight coils will really conceal that area of concern that you may have. So we really have a natural gift of fullness, whether it's considered thin or thick. We all have a fuller head of hair. And the longer we let it grow, the more we retain our hair, you know, we're able to style it in such a way that it will give us that image of fullness that we want. So it's all about perspective, y'all. It's all about the mindset. And, you know, improper uses of relaxer have caused a lot of people to not retain their hair. Improper uses of styling glue. Like, I'm not a fan of quick weaves, and I don't care what stylists are out there, hear me. I don't like it. Why? Because glue was not created for hair. Glue is for paper. You know, and in the same way that you put that glue on two pieces of paper, you try to split it apart, what's going to happen? It's going to break. So please use common sense. If you're going to put some glue on your hair and you try to take it out, something's going to come off with it because it's glue. It's an adhesive. And it's supposed to be a semi-permanent adhesive at that. So that means that something's coming off with it. Just something to think about as far as retention is concerned, because we're here because we all want to know the secrets to growing longer, fuller hair. Well, I'm telling you the secrets right now. It starts inside the mind. And then once we understand and get that together, then we can start implementing practical solutions for best retention for our hair. Which moves us on to the next letter in our acronym, which is O, options. Okay, well, Mr. Peace, you just told me that, well, my genetics may not call for me having this long hair, or if I'm not doing this to retain my hair, I got to do this or that. What are my options? That's what O is, options. What can I do? You know, and so I always think that especially for people with Afro texture hair, and I can talk about Afro texture hair because this is presented by the Association of Natural Hair Care Professionals. So my specialty is natural hair. So I'm going to always make natural hair my first priority, and then everything else follows that. So it doesn't dismiss anybody, but I got to start with my core, and my core, which is natural hair. So style options like curls, twists, coils, locks, those are all great style options to best retain your hair, especially if you're dealing with a natural organic texture and you want to achieve longer, fuller hair. Locks, you know, the thing that I love about locks is that if a person decides to lock their hair, because I always think that locks are the optimal solution for Black women, especially Black women who are always saying, I want longer, fuller hair. I want my hair to grow long. I want to be able to do this. And I want my hair to be easy and convenient and all that stuff. The thing that makes locks the quintessential option for hairstyling on Black women to me is that if your concern is always growth and length and retention, then this is the ultimate style option. Why? Because you're not losing any hair. You will rarely find someone with locks who's saying my hair is shedding. Because the thing about locks, whatever hair is going to shed is going to preserve itself into that lock. And so that means that all of the hair that you're growing is retained in that lock. And that's why so many people with locks are able to achieve those cascading lengths that people with loose hair, loose tight Afro texture hair are less likely to experience. And so I'm a fan, and this is not to encourage y'all and say, or think that y'all go lock your hair. I am an advocate and a fan of locks. However, everybody doesn't want to lock. But I'm just saying that the optimal way, the most ideal way, the quintessential way to achieve that long, cascading, flowing, easygoing hair that most Black women say they want is by locking the hair, because you don't lose it. And the magical thing about locks is if you do lose a lock, you can reattach that same lock right back onto your head. If it breaks off, you can put it right back on like nothing ever happened. Your hair, that's a gift. And that's what I love about locks. But however, you know, if you're someone who is not interested in locking, you know, the curls, the twists, the coils, those are all great options because you're doing less manipulation to your hair. You know, the less you're having to do to your hair, the more likely you are to retain the hair that is growing. And so I always hear a lot of people say, well, my hair grows when I use protective styles like braids and, you know, crochets and stuff like that. And I'm like, you know, I don't like to call them protective styles. And this is why. There have been a lot of situations where people have gotten braids in which their hair has not been protected. You know what I'm saying? And we got to call a spade a spade. If you have lost edges, and you have lost your crown to braids, that means that style did not protect your hair. If you're someone who has gotten a sew-in weave because they consider that to be a protective style too. And I'm not anti-braids or anti-weave by any means. I do plenty weaves, but I got a good friend that always lets people know your weaver before you get your weave done, because you want to make sure that you're working with somebody who does have every effort and their practices line up with best preserving your hair. Know your weaver. Know your weaver, and making sure that, you know, but all weaves have not been protecting, because a lot of people have lost a lot of hair by, you know, from the traction of different weaves and even crochet braids and wigs and all these styles. You know, they call them protective, but they don't always protect you. So I don't like to call them protective styles. I'd rather say that those styles, in many cases, when done right, can be referenced as preservation styles. So let's change our vocabulary to what's more accurate for what we want and what's happening. Preservation as opposed to protection. We can't call these braids that, because I know too many people who have lost edges and lost hair to a lot of these traction styles that just really apply a lot of traction to the hair. So my personal rule of thumb when it comes to options for the hair is follow the hair. Follow your hair. Meaning, if you have a tight curl pattern, then you want to opt for style options that are going to enhance or really follow that texture. So an example would be if you went and got your hair straightened and now you running and treating water like it's kryptonite. You just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get my hair wet because I'm scared that it's going to cause it to shrink up and revert back to what it is. So that means that you want to opt for styles that, in the case of them reverting, it's not so far away from what your natural texture is, that in the reverting process, it's still giving you a similar look, and it's probably giving you a more enhanced look than what you had. So that's what I mean by following the hair. If you're someone who is natural and opting for curly styles, don't go and choose the biggest rods in the basket and try to roll your hair with these big rods when you know that your natural curls are tight. Opt for the smaller curls so that as your hair reverts, it's more likely going to revert. It's going to have less room to revert all the way down, and it's going to still give you a nice, enhanced, exaggerated look on whatever your texture may be. You know, so that's the thing. Follow what your hair does. If you see that your hair is thinning and it's going back, you know, then you want to opt for some styles that aren't really going against that going back. You know, you don't want to get braid styles that are doing that. You want to go with styles that are going to follow whatever that pattern is. So if that means that you need to push it over to the side or tilt it over to this side, you need to do something, but follow whatever your hair is doing. Don't do things that are going to resist what it is naturally doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm understanding.
Yeah.
If you guys understand, put a 1 in the comments. Let us know you're understanding what he's saying about not going against your hair.
And if you want to right now, I know we normally save the Q&A for the end, but if you want to stop right now and take a break since we're in the middle of it, do you want to stop and take some questions about what people may have right now, or do you want to save all that for the end?
No, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, or if you're on Zoom, you can raise your hand and we'll take your question live. Yeah, we have a couple of minutes. And while people are thinking about their questions, you mentioned something, you just mentioned something about preserving versus protective, because you're saying that the styles aren't really protective. So when you say preserving, is that what do you mean by preserving?
So preserving your hair means that you're opting for style options that aren't going to apply a lot of traction and compromise the overall health of your hair. So anytime you're applying a lot of traction to the hair, like that's one of those things that is it really harms the hair. I mean, it really does. Traction does that. You're just opting for styles that really require low manipulation. Like they're really allowing you to preserve your hair. That means that you're less likely to lose any hair because of that style.
Okay. So
Does
that goes back to what you were saying about going with the way your hair,
following your hair.
You're following your hair.
Yeah, so when you follow the natural pattern of your hair or the natural texture of your hair, then you're less likely to experience a lack of preservation. You're more likely to retain.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, that's what I was wondering what you meant by preserving the hair, because a lot of ways that people do protective styles don't preserve the hair, but you're saying you need to be thinking preservation.
When you're thinking preservation, that's when you'll have a better experience with retaining your hair. when you're even thinking that. And that's why I said curl. Like if you're a person of black, if you're a black person or someone who has naturally Afro texture hair, opting for style options like curls are going to help you best preserve your hair because you're not having to denature it. You're not having to take it out of its natural form or element. If you're opting for twists are really great, especially when you're doing twists on your own hair. Because that way, a lot of times the synthetic fibers that people use to braid the hair, when you add moisture to them, the synthetic fibers will normally take and lock in all that moisture and leaving the regular strands, your strands, with nothing.
Okay.
So, you know, twisting your own hair will allow you to best retain the moisture that your scalp produces and that you may externally apply. That same goes for coils, and that same goes for locks. You know, locks are the ultimate preservation style because, you know, the only way people start losing hair is if naturally they are thinning, you know, and that can happen from medication, and that can happen from genetics. That can happen from, traction. You know, there are a lot of, reasons, but people with locks are less likely to experience that.
Okay, and we have a question from Facebook too. It
Okay.
says, I'm natural, don't put a lot of stress on my edges, but need more thickness there. What would you advise?
So I would advise going and get a dermatologist to look at it first, because a lot of times we talked about that self-diagnosis. And so although the edges are thin, let a dermatologist look at it to see what the issue is, because if you're dealing with some scarring that's, under, the follicle, then a lot of times that area may be closed. So I would really suggest doing style options that don't put a lot of stress in that area, and keeping that area as hydrated as possible with water. And if you want to lock that water moisture in, you can use a little grease or something like that. And I know a lot of people like, what you mean grease? Yes, I said grease, because back in the day when most Black women had a lot of full, thick, healthy hair, they weren't using no olive oil, they weren't using no coconut oil, they weren't using no creams or no butters or no custards or no bread pudding or no mayonnaise. They weren't using those things. They weren't using egg. They weren't using that. They didn't use spaghetti sauce. They used grease. That's why Madam C.J. Walker was such a savvy woman, because she used grease to treat Black women's hair. And that's when Black women started to really achieve results with their hair preservation and retention. So when I say grease, I'm intentionally saying grease. But go to the dermatologist first. Don't go buy no big or crying and think, "Ooh, I put a lot of grease on my ears, it's gonna grow back." That's not what I'm saying. Dermatologist first, but and then allow them to assess the area, and then keeping the hair hydrated with water and allowing the grease to lock in that water moisture. So I didn't get stuck on grease. I said grease is to lock in the water.
Got it.
And I hope that answers your question, and I hope that it's also perceived as valuable information too. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, and I just want to add, I just want to ask what area you're in, because we do have dermatologists in our network that specialize in hair, because a lot of dermatologists don't deal with hair, and a lot of them definitely don't deal with Afro texture hair or scalp or anything in that area. So let me know what area you're in so that we can point you in the right direction for a dermatologist.
That's so good. That's why I love the Association of Natural Hair Care Professionals, because when nobody else gonna tell you where to find no dermatologist, they were gonna let you struggle in these streets, and that's not what we doing. So
that's not what we do. All right, that's it for now. We'll go on to W.
So the next one, what we were talking, because I noticed I said when I talked about that grease, I said water. Water is essential for life as we know it. Water is the only, it's our hair is included in that life that I'm talking about. Water, water, water. Just like all living things, the lack of water causes dehydration and a breakdown. So we have to have water. And the thing that's so interesting too is that I think about all the years that Black women have been running from water with their hair, when water is what it needs. I think about when we water, because we got all live plants in our salon, and even at home, we've got plants. We got so many plants at home, it makes no sense. But the thing is that you'll notice that if you have a plant where the leaves are long and droopy, once you put some water in that plant, it's gonna come to life and start standing and ascending. Who else's hair does that? Ours. Water is essential, and it's essential for all hair. Don't get me wrong, but it's something special that happens with our hair when it comes in contact with water. And we run from that. We like, oh my gosh, it's been demonized, and propaganda has a way of making, things what they're not. And it's just really made our hair, it's made our hair a curse in our minds. And if anything, it is such a blessing, because it really is in every way mimicking the vegetation and the plants and the life that we see outside. It truly does. I mean, when you think about how it responds to water, how it responds to sunlight, and we run away from all those things. We trying to get away from everything that fortifies every part of us. We scared to go outside because we scared we're gonna get darker. Like, oh my God, I don't want to get black, because that's what we hear people say. Or you don't want any water to touch your hair because you're scared it's gonna shrink up and start standing and pointing towards the sun. It's like you forgot that you were a rose because you were out here trying to be a tulip. You see what I'm saying? Be a rose, it's okay. So, but the lack of water, it definitely creates a dehydration and a breakdown with the hair. And even when you go to the dermatologist, the dermatologist is always going to have water as the core of any solution that they give you. If they prescribe a shampoo for you to use, it's got to be used with water. If they prescribe a salve or a serum or some type of solution, it's got to be accompanied with water. So water is the ultimate solution. That's even, first recommended by the medical practitioners with hair, the dermatologists, those who specialize in it. But even with skincare, everything starts with water. And so I've had so many people reference products, like mainly good for growing longer, fuller hair. But the only product that will work for growing longer, fuller hair is water. Everything else can be used to help retain the hair. But the most quintessential solution for growing hair, the best product that we all have access to, unless you're in the middle of the desert, is water. And even then, you better find you a cactus or something and try to cut that thing open and access some water out of that, find a succulent or something, because that's the most essential product for our hair. Oils are not moisture. I know a lot of us think that, oh yeah, well, I moisturize my hair every day with this oil. That's not moisture, that's oil. Water is moisture. If we're dehydrated, like right now, you notice that I keep drinking this water. I can't sit here and drink no oil and think that that's gonna soothe my throat or hydrate my body. Go drink you some olive oil you want to and see what happens. Like it's just not gonna do it. It's not the ultimate product for hair. It's not quintessential, but it works with water. They collaborate. Water first, then you can use your oil or your butter or your cream or whatever with water. Your pomades, whatever, everything works with water. And I just want us to really change the way we perceive water, because the water is what keeps our hair elastic. Elastic refers to your hair's ability to be able to be stretched and bounce back into place. And once your hair loses its ability to do that, that means that your hair is no longer healthy if your hair is naturally curly or coily like that. Once your hair loses its ability to be stretched and bounce back, boom, that means that it's lost all of its melanin. It's been denatured. It's all of everything that's in it that fortifies it to have that elasticity, it's gone. And the thing that really showcases and really strengthens and nourishes that elasticity is water. Water does that. Everything else is used to lock in that water moisture, but you really don't need it, but it's water that does that. Key word that I've been using all day is that denature, because that's a good term. Because it just really means to take away the natural structure of your hair, the natural makeup of your hair, the natural filling of your hair and feeling. So oxygen, we know that H2O, our hair water is majority, it's oxygen. And so when we lack oxygen in our hair, and we all need oxygen to live, y'all. That's one of the things that when we don't give our hair water, that means that we're not giving it that basic element for life. we're not giving it. Every time we run from it, like, I don't want to put no water on my head, meaning I don't want to put no life on my head. I don't want to give my hair what it needs to truly be healthy. I don't want to do that. No, that's going to mess up my style. You know, instead of opting for a style that gives me the option to be able to give my hair and my scalp what it needs, which is water. And again, those style options, because I know a lot of people go to the dermatologist and they like, dermatologist, Dr. Such and said, what you mean I got to wash my hair every day? How am I going to style it? Opt for a style that allows you to be able to do that. If the dermatologist told a non-Black person to wash their hair every day, you think they're going to resist and be like, I got to miss it. No, they're going to go and they're going to wash their hair every day because they're not doing anything to denature theirs. However, on the rich melanin side of the spectrum, we over here running, you know what I'm saying, not wanting to put the water on our head, and not realizing or acknowledging or even having the consciousness to know that this is fortifying every part of us. Not when we put water on our hair, when we put it on our scalp, it's hydrating every part of us. Those follicles are taking in that moisture just like the soil would and nourishing every part of us. So those are things that we just want to consider, you know, and a lot of the scalp conditions that a lot of people experience are really because they lack oxygen. It's that lack of oxygen, wondering like, my scalp's so dry. Like I have people ask me all the time, Peace, okay, I've had this style in my hair for 3 weeks. Why is my hair and scalp so dry? Wait a minute. Now, if you went and didn't drink any water for 3 weeks, what do you think would happen? So the same thing happens with your hair and your scalp. You better give your hair and scalp some water. You sit up there wondering why you can't achieve the longer, fuller hair you want to, because you ain't giving your hair no water. Give your hair some water.
We got a question on that.
Yes.
This young lady says, I just purchased a hair steamer to help add moisture. How often should I steam my hair and for how long?
So that's cool that you bought a steamer, but I'm not a fan of the steamer. And this is why it's not necessary. You know, you can do a steamer, but that's just like me drinking this bottle, this right here, hydrating my body with this one bottle of water. And I'm just like, okay, I'm good. You know, I think that if you're going to work with well, anyway, if you're going to do it, then you should do it every day if you went and bought a steamer, because doing it one time is not going to make that big of a difference with anything. One time that steam treatment is ideal for that moment and that style. But once it's over, you know? So it's just like if you hydrate your body with water, and that's why I say it's a lot of stuff that's being sold out here by marketing companies, making you think that it's going to do something for your hair that is really not. And even the professional community, a lot of hairstylists, we sit up there telling people, oh yeah, this steamer is going to make your hair this and make your hair do this. If you allow your hair to do what it does and give your hair what is ideal for your specific texture, length, condition, then you won't have to invest in any of those. Because think about it, back in the day, your mama and grandmama didn't have a steamer and they had full healthy hair. Her mama and grandmama didn't have a steamer and they had full, thick, healthy hair. And so now we keep buying into all this stuff thinking that that's what's going to give us the hair care that we need. Now, if you want to go and get a deep, intense conditioning treatment when you're at the salon and you like the steamer because it offers a therapeutic feeling, then yes, that is good. But as far as like hair care and health, I ain't ever used a steamer in my life. And my hair is always been full. It's always been thick. I'm sure Elaine is not at home sitting under a steamer. Maybe I'm wrong. Are you sitting under a steamer? I'm just curious.
No.
Okay.
I use a steamer occasionally, but that's only at the salon.
Yeah, at the salon, because that's the place for it. And so I'm not an advocate of the steamer, and I don't think that the steamer is going to give you this optimal hydration that you need. And why? Because the kind of hydration that we need would need to be in this form right here. That means that you got to give your hair daily hydration. And so this right here, when I squirt that on my hair, it's giving my hair the moisture that it needs right there. Not a one-time treatment. This is an all-the-time treatment. Because as a woman, depending on what your style option is, if you think that your hair or your scalp is dry, then you can get your spray bottle with water and go on ahead and give your water what it needs in that moment, not that one-time steam treatment, unless you're going to do it every day. And who really has the time to do that every day?
Okay, we got someone here. It says they have 4BC hair and washing their hair every day is not realistic.
Pause. That's coming from a YouTube mindset. I am your natural hair expert. That is practical. I wear locks, and even before I wore my locks, most of the guys, men been natural way before a lot of women been natural, and most men wash their hair every single day. When they get in the shower, we wash our hair. When we have locks, we can wash our hair every single day. And when you say 4B, 4C hair can't be washed every day, that's a way of demonizing 4C, 4-3, 4B hair and all of that. It's just like our hair can't do that. Our hair, I just said, our hair responds to moisture and water like no other hair does. So that means that we have to opt for the style options that are going to be compatible with us giving our hair water every day. And that comes in the form of double strand twist. That's one style that you can use that's going to help you to give your hair water every day. If you wore your hair in its organic texture, you can give it water every day. If you manipulated it into curls and finger coils and stuff like that, you can give your hair water every single day. And even if you don't want to compromise your style, at least your scalp can be treated with that water every day. And this is coming from somebody who knows natural hair. I know natural hair. I have studied natural hair for over 20 years, every length, every texture, every condition. And this is only to help elevate your mind, because when you say that's not practical for 4C, 4B hair, that's not true. That means that your mindset has to shift and you have to do more experimenting with your hair. If I'm telling you, you need water for life, and you're saying that that's not practical, that's like you also saying, well, it's not really practical for me to drink my water every day, so I'm gonna just drink this Coke and drink this Kool-Aid and drink this coffee and drink all of this other stuff, when optimally, to give you the best life experience, is this right here, water. So just to answer your question, your hair is compatible with a daily water treatment. You just have to go with those style options that are more compatible with that. And I gave you options just now. I gave you double strand twists are great for daily hydration. Finger coils are great for daily hydration. Organic textures are great for hydration. I know you probably thinking, well, my twist out is not gonna hold. Well, that means that you may have to twist your hair out every night. You know, that means that you may have to retwist it and give it that water and undo it the next day. But it is ideal. It's just all about finding those style options that allow you to do that. And the same applies with locks. You know, you can always opt to do that, because I always listen to women and men who, well, most women, because I don't really hear men say anything about alphanumeric categorizing with hair. But when you have a tighter texture of hair, if you want an optimal experience, then you may want to consider locking your hair, because everything that you want with your hair, you want it to grow long, you want it to be full, you want it to be thick, you want style versatility, you want to be able to swim, you want to be able to exercise, you want to be able to wear it up, wear it down. All of that is encompassed in locks. So that's another style option to consider, especially if you're someone who has 4B, 4C hair. So, and I don't want you to think that I'm attacking with that, but because I know my stuff and I know what I'm talking about, I know that water is essential for hair. And the reason that a lot of Black women are struggling with their hair is because of what was just stated. That's not practical. And that is very practical, and it's essential. It's necessary. So.
Okay, someone brought up something that I was thinking of also. With the water. So this young lady says, I have lots. I use rose water for hydration and styling. What are your thoughts on rose water or distilled water? Because not all water is the same. And I was thinking about, you know, not everybody's, you know, county water is good because of contaminants, not because water's not good, but because of contaminants in the water.
So when I'm referencing water, I'm always referencing good water. So you want to make sure that you're using the water that you would drink is the water that you want to use on your hair. That's the one that I'm talking about. That's optimal. That's ideal. Now, rose water is good, but if you're not going to drink that rose water, it's not as ideal as your purified, your distilled, your alkaline water. That's what I'm referencing good water. But rose water is fine. I don't want you to think that it's not. But rose water is perfectly fine.
Okay. And there's lots of feedback on what you
I want to hear it, because yeah, that's good.
So So one was, you know, a water treatment and washing every day are different.
Yes.
And then, so one person said they weren't, it wasn't realistic for them to wash every day. And then another comment was, lots are just not for them. They don't like the way they feel. And I know a lot of people have an idea of what lots feel like, and they're no two sets of lots that feel the same. But that's just from my personal experience.
Well, and that's the truth, what you just said, because, you know, one of the things that I mentioned at the beginning was that our strands of hair are as unique as our fingerprints. All locks have that same uniqueness. And there are locks that can come in the form of larger locks. You can have smaller locks. You can have long locks, short locks. You know, all locks don't feel the same. And if you think that locks aren't for you, that's fine. That's why I put those other options out there. That's why I said your curls, your twists, your coils, all of those are style options that you can wear. But if you want an optimal experience with growing longer, fuller hair, because what I'm saying, because the topic at hand is how to grow longer, fuller hair and best retain that longer, fuller hair, water is an optimal solution. Now, I didn't say wash your hair every single day. Now, if the dermatologist is saying that that's what you need to do, if you want to experience the results that they're saying that you're going to experience, then you want to follow whatever they're saying. If you don't do that, then they can't guarantee those results. They can only guarantee based on their prescription. If you decide I'm going to do my own thing and wash it once a week, but then go back to the dermatologist a month later saying it didn't work, well, you don't know because you didn't give it a chance. In the same way that everybody went natural and hit YouTube and got on there and looked for every style option that they can do on their own, that same option is available for those people who want to find styles that will allow them to wash their hair or hydrate their hair on a daily basis. Because when I say hydrate, I'm not saying wash your hair every day. I mean, if you need to spray some water on your scalp and hydrate it, because that's one of the reasons that a lot of people experience scalp issues and scalp concerns, because, you know, if you see that your scalp is dry, the solution is not grease or oil. The solution is water. That is the solution for anything that is dry, water. And you can use those other salves and product solutions to lock the water moisture in. But water is essential for life. And if you don't want to wear locks, that's perfectly fine. My household, let me see, everybody in my household is not locked. And as a hairstylist, the style options that I offer as a hairstylist go far beyond locks. I mean, I do a lot of locks and I choose to wear locks, but we do a lot of style options, and the majority of my guests who come here to the salon don't have locks, but all of them follow my instructions when it comes to this water application to the scalp and to the hair. And we always opt for style options that will give them the opportunity to do that. And that's why they have so much success with their hair, because they're not resisting the water. And when you think about it historically, because a lot of the resistance that I'm hearing with people is just that history of Black women running away from water. I know because everybody has the same excuse, like that's not practical because you keep thinking about the vanity of things. You know, oh, my style option is not going to work. But when you start thinking about the health of your hair and the health of your body and the fortitude thereof, that's when you'll start to realize, okay, yeah, I may need to rethink this water thing because it is essential. So we'll save the rest of the questions for afterwards, because I know we got to get to the next one, which goes back to this right here, traction. That's the letter T, traction, y'all. Traction and technique are very important factors to consider when growing longer, fuller hair. Now, a lot of the style options that many people use or implement on their hair, just have so much traction. And I'm gonna get on locks for a minute because I know a lot of people are thinking he's trying to get us to lock our hair. And although I think that is the optimal solution for a lot of Black women, there are a lot of people out there who are really dogging their locks out. I see so many people with locks who just have so much traction on their edges. I mean, like they get it twisted and then they get it pulled pulled up into this real tight, elaborate style that's just like, oh my gosh, the traction, you know, and you can see bumps on the head when you do those kind of styles, braids, even relaxer and heat treatments, you know, when you pull them back, because I know a lot of people are wearing these ponytail styles, you just see the traction, and traction styles are one of the main reasons that a lot of people are not able to achieve the longer and the fuller hair they want to. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't pull your hair back or that you can't pull it up or do any of those. We could do all those things, but it's the measures in which we do it that causes the compromise. So let's talk about edge control for a minute. Like a lot of people who using like all the heavy edge controls, like that applies so much traction to the hair. And I know they don't think that it does, but right now in your younger years, you're okay. You can see like, oh, it's okay, but turn 40 and see what happens. Because your body is already going to go through so many changes. So you're not going to be able to do all that stuff at 40. And then it's all of those attempts to make yourself look as non-Black as possible, you know, that's causing the traction and causing the hair loss and causing the stunted growth and causing the development. And please don't give me, I understand that this is a very hard pill to swallow, because this presentation is all about secrets to growing longer hair. And I prefaced it by saying that we got to change our mindsets. Because if what you were already doing was working, then you can keep doing what you're doing. But if you still haven't achieved that long hair that you've always wanted, then you might want to try something different. You may want to consider shifting your mindset so that you can start implementing those practices that will help you to best preserve and retain the hair that you have on your head. I talk about edge control because most of the time when people are going real hard with the edge control, it's because they're trying to achieve that same Puerto Rican baby hair look. They're trying to achieve that same Brazilian woman look. And it's not saying that Black people don't have baby hair, but if your hair doesn't naturally do that, just naturally, and the amount of stress that you put on, because if you're going to do it in such a way in which you mimic what your hair naturally does. It's when you trying to stretch it and make it do something that's totally different. And you see people do it all the time, like I'm just stretching it and doing this and I'm putting more on and doing this and doing that, and next thing you know, I'm wondering why my edges aren't really growing like the rest of my hair. You know, it's because of all the traction. So, you know, if you're going to do it, just be careful with the way you use your edge controls. And you want to make sure that you rinse that out daily, because those edge controls have so much alcohol in them, and alcohol dehydrates, it dries out. And so it will dehydrate those edges and have you wondering like, my edges ain't really growing. But because we're so focused on the style that we don't pay attention to that, or because it's the ongoing trend. And don't get me wrong, I think baby hair cute, I like it, you know what I'm saying? But it's the way that it has to be done in order to not create traction and stunt the growth and preservation of your hair. We talked about tight braids. I know a lot of people are always like, I'm gonna go get my hair braided, but know your braider and make sure that in you trying to achieve what we call a natural hairstyle or an Afrocentric style, if your braids are stretching your roots in such a way that you don't even look Black no more, then that means that that's a traction style, and that's not gonna really optimally protect your hair and preserve your hair and protect your edges. Like, and it's not even just the edge area, it's the overall perimeter. Because I know a lot of people, and it may be many people watching this broadcast, who have lost hair to improper braid treatments, who have lost hair to improper ponytail treatments, who have lost hair to improper heat treatments, and who've lost hair to improper relaxer treatments. Because I'm not anti any of those things. Notice the word that I said that I'm using is improper. Because when it's done properly, then you're less likely to have any of those negative experiences. But it's when people start to go to those people who are not really thinking about the care of your identity and the care of your hair and following what it naturally does, that's when you start experiencing those problems. And that's when you're less likely to experience that growth and retention. And that leads us to talking about alopecia, because traction, you know, especially there's a form of alopecia that's called traction alopecia. And traction alopecia occurs when you start to implement those braid treatments and those weave treatments and those pulling treatments on your hair that creates a permanent loss. And a lot of people will not experience a regrowth in that area because of a scarring under the tissues of your under your follicles. And those is a scar, just scar tissue there, in which hair can't grow past that scar tissue. So it just creates just a death right there. So there's that. I want to talk about alopecia. Beyond that, there's one of the most common forms of alopecia that a lot of Black women experience is called CCCA. CCCA is central centrifugal cicatricial alopecia. Central refers to the center area of your head. The centrifugal, centrifugal refers to something that spreads outward. So that means that alopecia that is occurring is centrally located. It's centrifugal in the way that it's spreading, which is outward. Central centrifugal cicatricial refers to scarring. So that means that there's some scarring that took place under the dermis. And then, you know, the alopecia refers to the hair loss. Those are things that we have to be mindful of when we're getting these styles right here. And that's why I'm such a big advocate of not self-diagnosing your condition. Because if you don't know that you have CCCA, because that's something that can be treated in many cases by a dermatologist or a hair care, not a hair care, because your hairstylist can't treat it because they don't know. You got to go to the dermatologist for something like that. And in some cases, you may want to visit a trichologist. They take a more holistic approach. Either one is fine, but I would recommend doing both if you can, if you're dealing with that kind of loss. There's, let me see, alopecia totalis refers to like small round patches. And I know this may seem like a lot, me going into detail about the alopecia like this, but I think that the more we know, the more we can grow in every way, and especially with our hair. But anyway, you know, alopecia totalis refers to small patches around or throughout the head. Alopecia universalis refers to hair loss all over the body, which people experience that. There's areata, which is another, you know, unrecognized, like small spots of hair that are lost. Because sometimes you might wake up and realize, where did this spot come from? I don't see any hair on my pillow. I didn't see the hair go anywhere. Well, that's the areata, the alopecia areata. And then there's androgenic alopecia, which is the male pattern baldness that a lot of people see on men, and some women get that too. So, I mean, there's so many different cases of alopecia. Postpartum is a real common one. Like a lot of times when a woman has a baby, you know, she's thinking, oh, my hair grew so full, where your hair is less likely to shed when you're in gestation. But when you're postpartum, you know, once those hormones are starting to transition, that's when that hair, in many cases, you start to experience some hair loss, but the hair will come back, you know, once everything starts to stabilize in the body. And so that's going to take us, so I talked about traction. I want to go to our last letter in the acronym, which is H. Am I good on time and lane? Because I'm rushing at it because I don't want to.
Oh no, we way past time. You're good.
Okay. Gosh.
So for all of y'all, it is past 8, but we are going to continue, and we're going to do a live Q&A. So
okay.
The information is good, so we're just going to keep going.
And is everybody staying on, or are people dropping off, or like, are we
no,
good?
we have the same people. We still got, you got a conversation
that's good.
going
that's
on Facebook.
That's
so
good.
Yeah, you're
that's
good.
So good. So health. So health is the last letter in the acronym. A healthy body, you know, plays a major role in hair. I always tell people, when the blood is flowing, the hair is typically going to be growing. You know, so as long as we got that blood flow, we're going to watch that hair grow. And so that's what I love about making sure that we're healthy, making sure that we're consuming good foods, making sure that we're drinking plenty of water, making sure that we're applying water to our scalp. You know, if anything, to our scalp. It should be on the hair and scalp, but if anything, making sure that you're getting that water to your scalp, making sure that we mentally perceive our hair as something good. You know, good mental health, and the way we see ourselves, having an acceptance, having a love, and having a true embrace for who we are. That's a healthy mind and a healthy esteem. That plays a major role in our hair growth and preservation and retention. That's how we get longer, fuller hair. I'm loving when you're able to say, I love the hair that I've been gifted. I really love my hair. So because when you love something, you are less likely to do anything to hurt, harm, endanger, take it out of its element when you really love it. And I know a lot of people say, well, I just love my hair. Like, do you really love it though? Are you really practicing love for your hair? For real? So, and as far as going back to the steamer, somebody mentioned the steamer, big ups to the woman who said she went and got her a steamer, because that means that you ain't got no problem with hydrating. But what I want to add to the steamer thing is not me demonizing the steamer. That still is just a one-time treatment with your hair. So that's not going to make up for all the other days in which your scalp is not getting the hydration that it needs. So that, especially for those people who aren't drinking a lot of water. You know, because the thing about the scalp is that the scalp produces, well, our bodies produce what's called sebum. You know, that's the body's way of giving all of the moisture and hydration that is needed, especially to the scalp. But when we aren't drinking enough of this right here, you know, that's when we have to supplement. Or if you've got a whole lot of thick hair, you have to supplement where you may not be producing, because sebum produces optimally when you got a good, healthy flow of blood, you know, going in the body. But when you ain't healthy, then you got to supplement. That's why we have to, in many cases, go with, you know, the water and do the oil and everything, because water and oil ain't doing nothing but mimicking sebum. That's what the sebum naturally does. So, you know, the healthier we are, you know, the better off we'll be when it comes to retaining and preserving our hair. And so I just wanted to, you know, go into that. I want to go into the Q&A, but before we go into the Q&A, I want to talk about hair hacks. So we have a virtual workshop that we do called Hair Hacks. And so in that workshop, we give 15 different hair hacks that you can use for creating great styles, great at home products. Like, I mean, and these are the things that you can use that you already have in your home. So that means that I don't have to go out to the store and purchase something to create these hair hacks. I'm using everything that I already have at home. And it's a dynamic workshop. We did it, I used to do it all the time, like a decade ago, but I just did it for the first time in like a decade a few weeks ago, and it went over so well. Like, so many women, I mean, loved it. I was like, my gosh, I had no idea that I could use all these different tools that I already have at home in my cabinets, you know, to create these different style options on my head. So these are 15 different hair hacks. So we're gonna send an email out to everybody. Elaine is gonna send an email out to everybody with a link to be able to participate in the virtual workshop for the 15 hair hacks. And I know I've been talking a lot about this hair, but I know my stuff, y'all. And that doesn't mean that you don't know anything, because you know. But the difference between many of you and me is that I've dealt with thousands of women over a 20-year period with various lengths, various textures, and various conditions with their hair. That gives me a different kind of expertise. It's like somebody trying to go to the doctor, a pregnant woman saying, well, doctor, don't worry about it. I can do my own C-section. You know what I'm saying? And you can try it, but the doctor has so much more experience with doing the C-section, and you're less likely to die trying to do your own when you're dealing with the experts. And so, so I know I'm very passionate about that. It's because I know my stuff, but I also believe in you. But I have to think about things from a general perspective, because what works for one head, you may have become an expert at your head, which is great, because we all need to be experts at our own heads. But when we start to put out information and generalize it as this is going to work for everybody's head, that's not the case. And that's why the experts, you know, are able to come into play and give the information that I was able to give today. So I hope that it was perceived as valuable for everyone. And it was my pleasure to share this with y'all. And I definitely invite y'all to participate in our Hair Hacks workshop. And Elaine's gonna send out an email to everybody following this, maybe within the next few days, letting you know how you can purchase the Hair Hacks workshop.
That's great. I do want to ask you, what we're looking at your screen right now, and I don't know how easy this will be for you to do. Do you have a, can you pull up either your website or your Instagram that has your some gallery of your work?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the reason I'm asking that is because you've given a very natural, holistic view, and I want people to see how sleek and modern and nice the styles are. Yeah, so they don't think you just tell them to wake up and water their hair and run out the door.
Exactly. And thinking that it's going to be an ugly style once they put the water on there. So that's good. So let me do that. Let me share the screen and look that up right now. Actually, let me look it up first before I share the screen. Let me see if I want to pull up our website or if I want to pull up the Instagram. I think Instagram would be best. If y'all could follow my Instagram page, that would be great, at Hayah Beauty. That's HAYAH. Because I don't think I've ever pulled up Instagram from a laptop. Let me see if I can pull up my Instagram.
You should be able to. And I'm gonna put at Hayah Beauty.
Oh, I did. It looks like it came right to it. So let's see.
Hayah.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna share the screen right now. And thank y'all so much for joining. I just love doing these presentations too. Let's see. Okay, so this is our Instagram page. And so these are some of our style options. And so you'll notice that right here, we've got, this is a showcase of locks. And these may not look like locks, but these are what we call piece locks. This is my signature method for styling locks right here. And it's just a gorgeous showcase of locks right there. And you'll notice that we've got those beautiful blonde, cool.
Do me a favor and click on it.
Oh, okay.
All there right. You go.
Yeah, thank you so much, Elaine. Look at me looking literate when it comes to this kind of stuff. But you can see that it doesn't look like your traditional lock, because again, locks can be as unique as our fingerprints. And you'll notice that we were able to create a beautiful curl texture on those locks. And she squirts her hair every day. That's my wife in that picture too. So I know she hydrating hers. So. And
you can use the little arrow on the side, to your right, to the, depends on which way you want to go. Okay. Yep.
Great. Okay. So this right here, these are double strand twists, and this is her hair. These are no extensions added in here at all. And this is another person who hydrates her hair on a day-to-day basis. And this style option will last for, oh my gosh, like anywhere between 4 to 5 weeks. And when she takes those twists loose, it creates the most beautiful twist out. You know, it's just gorgeous. And so I'm glad that you asked me to do this, because it does showcase that we're able to showcase modern hairstyles with this natural approach. Like right here, this woman right here has locks, and we were able to create this beautiful pin curl style on her locks. Just a gorgeous showcase, and they look shiny and hydrated. Just a showcase of modern hair. Look at these beautiful styles right here. You know, and these women are able to showcase, they're able to put water and hydration on their hair. So I'm not coming from a place of not, I know, if I don't know anything, y'all, I know some natural Afro texture hair. I know it. Because this is what I've been doing. I live it, I love it. Look at this. These are some coils on her hair, and she's able to hydrate her hair every day. She don't miss a beat. And she hydrates her scalp. When I'm talking about her hair and her scalp, but more importantly, her scalp.
Okay.
Yeah. And so this right here, another showcase of those coils that she's able to showcase hydration with. Same with this brother right here. I know he washing his hair every day. Another beautiful showcase of a pin curl style on locks. And so I'm just showcasing these because, you know, this is what modern natural hair looks like. I don't know how to get, oh, there we go. Okay, I couldn't figure out how to get, you know, off of that. But just all these different style options in which these men and women are able to add that type of hydration treatment to their scalp on a daily basis.
Yeah, I got a double. So yeah, it was just important for me to show you that, or for you to show that, because I didn't want people to think, because people who know me, who follow me, know that I don't do much. But I wanted them to see that what you're talking about are really styles that look good, that are classy, that are, you know, high level. You're not saying just, you know, spray some water on your hair and run out the door. But speaking of, we do have some questions, questions and comments. One person was just saying that it's hard to wash their hair or do their hair every day, especially if they're washing it every day, just because it takes so long. And I think you kind of stepped back and said you weren't necessarily recommending washing every day, but I'll let you answer that.
Hydrate the skin. It's the scalp, because see, there are so many. I work closely with a lot of dermatologists and trichologists, and one of the most common occurrences that they experience is Black women and men coming into their practices with issues like seborrheic dermatitis, issues like fungal issues where the hair is not, but where it's coming from a buildup of product, or it's coming from a stress buildup. And a lot of times we'll look at our scalp and think, oh my gosh, this is dandruff, but it could be a fungal buildup that could be a result of stress. Now, that don't mean that you nasty just because you're having a fungal buildup. That could mean that you're stressed out, that you're having an allergic reaction from something that you're eating, from something in the environment, from a detergent. It could be all kind of things. But these are common occurrences that the dermatologists deal with, and they could be remedied by women and men applying more moisture to their scalp. And if you could shampoo it more often, that would help too, to alleviate a lot of the concerns that a lot of people have when it comes to dry scalp issues.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do we have, let me see if we have, I'm trying to go back through Facebook to make sure I didn't miss anything.
I just sent you a link via email, Elaine. If you wanted to post that link, they could actually purchase the hair hacks now if they wanted to get it from that link. But I would really rather wait until you send that email out so that you can, let's wait, we'll send the email out and allow them to get it that way. So I sent it to you, but I don't want you to share it yet. We'll send it out maybe later on or tomorrow.
Okay, we got, someone says, I wear twist outs. I can spray water. I wear twist outs. I can spray water on my scalp. Would you add anything?
No, well, it depends. Sometimes, yes, because somebody mentioned that all water is not created the same, and that is true. But there are some things that you can do to purify and alkalize your water. So if you're in an area where your water is not the best water, it's harder, you can balance the pH of your water by putting a little lemon in your water. And I'm not talking about like I'm talking about real lemon juice that you squeezed out of the lemon yourself. That will help to alkalize your water so that the water that you're applying to your hair and to your scalp, mainly your scalp, because the biggest focus right now is the scalp, but the water that you're applying to your scalp is really helping you to alleviate any concerns that you may have, just because it's helping to restore a balanced pH.
Okay, and that's the same recommendation they give you for drinking water too, so that makes sense. Yeah.
So squeezing a little lemon inside of your water would be that would be a good solution. I hope that this information that I'm sharing is perceived as valuable for everybody too. Yeah.
Let's see, I'm making sure on Zoom. And if you all have any questions, if you all want to ask a question live, all you have to do is there's an icon on your page on Zoom, at the bottom of your page that says, that's if you're on a laptop. If you're on a phone, I'm not sure where it is, but there's a thing that says raise hand. And if you raise your hand, I can just, you can ask your question live. But we got Shelly. She said that the package that you're talking about, the hair hats, was great, and she highly recommends it. So
so that's good. So thank you, Shelly. It was so fun. It was a really great, because we were able to give, and I said 15, but I threw a bonus in there at the end that was everything good in life, y'all. And so thank you, Shelly. The hair hacks really was so good. It was a really great presentation. I enjoyed doing it. And that's why I'm inviting everybody to be a part of that, because if you're at home, especially right now, a lot of people are still quarantined, but depending on where you are in the world, and it really, it could be really helpful for you to not have to go outside and get anything outside of what you may already have at home, and just to give you just an easier experience. And everything about those hair hacks lines up with everything that I shared in this Secrets to Growing Longer Hair presentation too. So.
Excellent, excellent. I think we got some thank yous. Yes, and I think we have covered all the questions. If you all have a question that we didn't cover, you can. I'll give you a couple of minutes to type it into the chat, and I will make sure that we ask it. If I missed one along the way, I'm checking, scrolling through. And in the meantime, you didn't mention products, and you said you weren't really going to mention products, but are there any benefits? I know you said that products are mostly to preserve, but is there anything that you get, nutrients or anything from products, or are you just saying?
Well, every product, because I'm not anti-product at all. That's not it. A lot of these hairstyles that you see on here are created by using product, but I use products that work well with water. I use
Okay.
products that I know that you can apply water to your scalp and it's not going to compromise that style. All of the styles that you see here, they get so much better as they get older because they get fuller. They just
Yeah,
take on
that
a more, it's
big.
just beautiful, but they still have this same showcase of texture and luster that you see showcase. None of these people right here, everybody here, that everybody's showcase has what we consider to be 4A, B, or C hair.
Okay. Okay.
This is what I deal with. Like this, most of the hair that I showcase is not going to be showcased, but we're able to manipulate style options on tight Afro hair that gives this look. Because I'm not real big on alpha numerical categories with hair, and mainly because as a hairstylist, it's nothing that I have to. And I can do all of these styles on any texture of hair. So I don't have to use alphanumeric categorizing for anybody's hair because all these style options will work on any hair.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you for staying on extra to just share with us a little bit of extra information. And also, thank you for sharing your hacks. I will definitely get that email out, and I will provide some sort of link for those people who joined us on Facebook Live, and we'll get that out in the next couple of days so that they can get that information. But again, thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. Yep, and I want all of y'all to have beautiful, healthy, long, full hair experiences, and that doesn't mean like that's why I said longer and fuller hair. Because everybody may not want longer hair. They just may want it to be fuller. And some people may be in an optimal place with their hair. They may be like, I love my hair right where it is. And that's great. Because that's what I want for everybody. I want you to love your hair right where it is. And I want you to keep giving it so much. I want you to give it all the love that you can give because many of us have been taught to not love our hair. And the easiest and best way for us to have the optimal experience that I'm talking about is by first truly loving, accepting, and embracing our hair as a gift that was customized for us. That's my closing statement.
All right. Well, I'm going to let that be. You have a good night.
Thank you.